The Menu is not a masterpiece. This horror comedy released in late 2022 to massive critical acclaim, and general audiences seem to really enjoy it as well. And it's really easy to see why everyone enjoyed it so much, but throughout all of the discourse that I read on Twitter or in videos I watched, nobody mentioned this one thing that kind of drove me crazy throughout the whole second half of the movie. And honestly, I probably really shouldn't say just the second half, because it kind of affected my viewing experience throughout the entire film. But before I get into my big problem with the movie, I want to talk about all of the great things it did, because it did a lot right. There is much more good in here than there is bad. I want to start off with the director, Mark Mylod. Sorry Mark, no disrespect, you're a very talented man, but your name is hard to pronounce. So for this first thing, I'm honestly not sure if Mark deserves the credit here or if Peter Dimming, the cinematographer, does. But the way this movie is shot is absolutely surgical. It is so clean, so cold, and the visual storytelling is always so clear. So many of the shots have this beautiful symmetry to them. Just look at Little Miss Crazy right here leading all of the guests into the workers' quarters. Or this shot here, or that one there. All of these are so well done. The camera work and framing of this film, if I may say, is a chef's kiss. You get it? Because the menu? Yeah. Alright, moving on. Feels like a lot of movies we see these days have lost the art of subtlety. They feels like they always need to say the quiet part out loud, and Mark does a really good job here of having everything you need available visually without a character having to just say it out loud. He puts a lot of trust in the viewers here to pick up on these subtle visual cues, and I really appreciated that. Doesn't feel like he's hand-fisting it or beating you over the head with his point. It's there to pick up on, but it's not overbearing. Moving on to our actors, Nicholas Hoult is wonderfully whiny as Tyler. Oh my god, you just hate him so much. So, great job, Nicholas. And Janet McTeer, as our stuck-up food critic, Lillian Bloom, was a great choice. She is perfectly pretentious, and I loved it. She legitimately feels like that snotty food critic from Ratatouille if you took away his, heart of gold backstory. Anya Taylor-Joy as Margot, I'm not gonna lie, it's not her best performance. She does a perfectly okay job, but that's just it, it's okay. There wasn't a single second of her performance that surprised me or really made me feel anything. And I don't really put the blame on her so much as I do the fact that none of the characters were all that compelling. More of a script problem. She wasn't bad, she was doing her job just fine, but that was it. Fine. But speaking of fine, oh my god, Baba Booey, Mr. Ralph Fiennes, he was looking good. Voldemort is horrifying without the mask. I swear to god, this man is 10 times scarier with a nose. Whenever he's staring down one of his guests that he absolutely hates, you feel that. You feel like he's staring you down and he hates you. His absolute disdain for all of his guests is palpable. It feels like it's floating in the air and you can almost taste it. He does not like a single one of these people, and you can feel it from the moment they walk in the door. The rest of the cast does more than enough to pull their weight. John Leguizamo's slimy movie star was so good. Rob Yang and his group of finance bros were the absolute worst, but in the most entertaining way possible. The atmosphere of this restaurant is clear from the jump. It's cold, it's calculating, there is no love in this food, there's no love in this restaurant. All of the joy of creating food and building these wonderful dishes is gone. The staff are so stiff and robotic. The food is sparse, with Chef Slowick even saying no one is meant to be full. They'll eat as much as they deserve. And oh boy, do they deserve the worst. This all ties into the underlying themes and messages and meanings behind this movie. And these underlying themes are what caused this movie to get such amazingly high praise online. There's so many meanings layered into this one film that I honestly could not cover it all in one video. And there's plenty of other good videos on YouTube analyzing all of this, and you should totally go check them out after this video. But the main one I want to focus on today is how the commodification, commercial production, and wide mass consumption of art can almost destroy the art in and of itself. It can remove the joy and the meaning and the love behind that piece of work. When a piece of art gets scooped up into that money-making machine, the human element is gone. It's removed. The artist loses their control over their creation. For Chef Slowick, That art is his food. He's reached the absolute pinnacle of his profession and feels less satisfied than ever. His food is $2,000 a plate. The people who would really appreciate his food can't afford it. So he's trapped in this diamond-studded cycle of producing art or food he doesn't give a shit about anymore. He can't bring himself to care because it's being consumed by these people. These uber-rich assholes who can't appreciate it. And that just drives him nuts. We don't see him smile throughout the entire movie. This man is thoroughly displeased every second he's on screen, except for one quick glimpse into his past. When Margot goes into his office, and she sees all over the walls pictures of his past or newspaper clippings cut out about him and his career and his growth throughout that career. But still, in every picture, he just looks miserable. The man seems to be incapable of being happy. Until Margot spies the oldest picture in the room of a young Chef Slowik, before the money, before the fame, when it was all about the food. And Slowik is absolutely beaming in the picture. He's as happy as could be. And that's really where the message is crystallized, for me at least. I mean, it was hinted out throughout, of course, but this moment really put it directly in frame. Now, that was just a surface level skimming. If you want more in-depth analysis, go check out Full Fat or somebody. I'm sure there's something great out there. But overall, the themes and the messaging, 10 out of 10. It's really great. As close to perfect as you can get. So if the movie is so well shot, the actors are this good, the director is this great, the subtext is there and clear and wonderful, what's wrong with this movie? I'll tell you what's wrong, boys and girls. The story is so focused on the subtext and the subtle messaging that it seemingly forgets to make you give a shit about the text, about the overt story we're actually seeing. Nobody matters here. Like, I did not give a single shit about any character in this movie. And by all accounts, I should have. But none of it gripped me. None of it fucking mattered. Or felt like it mattered. The story sacrificed itself for the subtext. And that just took me out of it. I couldn't be bothered to care about what was happening on the screen because the filmmaker didn't. Or the scriptwriter or somebody. Because it is very clear throughout this entire movie, the surface level is not what matters at all. And that's fine. A movie can be about a deeper meaning. But I just wish it would put enough effort into that surface level to make you care. To make the audience invested in what's happening. I was intrigued by the messaging and the way they were dancing around with those themes. And that was really cool. But at the same time, you gotta make the movie itself matter. You gotta make the story worthwhile. And I just didn't feel that here. An example of a movie being really heavy on the subtext and messaging and themes, but still having an awesome surface level story that's engaging and interesting, is Knives Out. Both 1 and 2, original and Glass Onion, do an outstanding job of telling an engaging, gripping, thrilling story, while still having a heavy emphasis during the entirety of both films on the messaging and meanings behind it. I genuinely cared about what happened to Ana de Armas' nurse character, while still being intrigued and tantalized throughout at the messaging that they were hinting at and pushing at, and it was great. So all in all, the menu is technically damn near perfect. The themes, the messaging were great, the actors were great, cinematography is wonderful, but it just didn't grab me. There was clearly a lot of love and care put into it. All in all, it was really, really good, but I left disappointed because it could have been great. Thanks for listening, guys. I really had a fun time making this first YouTube video. Please subscribe and comment down below what you think. If you think I'm an idiot, if you agree, disagree, let me know. Let me hear it.